Greetings, grasshoppers. Welcome to the Bot Signal. My name is RJ Redden. And if you don't know me already, entrepreneurs hire me to skyrocket their marketing because most feel like they're shouting into a black hole, or they can't get traction online to save their lives. And many feel like they're just a carbon copy of everybody else. So I create epic engagement experiences that get people to click that button, connect with you, and convert like crazy. But today it ain't about me. Today, it's about my dear friend, Norm Jones. Listen, you're going to love this guy as much as I do. He is a copywriting master. He is amazing and hugely fun. So please welcome my friend, Norm Jones. Norm, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad to have you on the show today.
RJ, it is an honor. We are. This is awesome. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too, man. So I know the answer to these questions, but I'm going to ask you anyway because the folks don't know. Who are you? What do you do? What's going on?
Yeah. So my name's Norm Jones. I live in Arizona, kind of the east side of Phoenix, and I'm happily married. Got 3 boys. They're all adults now in college or just graduated college, and just loving life. It's fantastic. So that's basically me. Yeah.
All right. So copywriting. How did you get into it? Tell me the whole story.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm actually a PhD dropout. I got a master's degree in linguistics, and so that's kind of where the nerd started, for me. And then during my PhD, I kind of fell backwards into computers, taught computers for a number of years, and geeked out as much as I could on that. But I always had that, my brain always just did advertising, that did marketing, and came up with that and stuff. So, but then after, when I left the PhD program, and I just decided I got to go make some money because my kids were kind of little. So I still might go back, but it's been 20 years, so I don't know. But yeah. So and then the PhD was in marketing and mass communication, and so even though I for 15 years I was doing technology stuff, I was writing apps and and different things, ran a code shop, but 5 years ago I just thought it's time for me to just do what I love, and I've always had that clients on the periphery that hired me for the marketing. So I just finally decided, okay, I'm just gonna do this full time. So about 5 years ago I said, this is it, I'm gonna do the marketing, and then I just realized that the thing I love most about the marketing, the best thing I was best at, was the ideas, was the words, and so I really dug deep into that, and I just love it. It's fantastic. So
beautiful. So, as with me, what a long, strange trip it's been to the present. Yes. So what's your favorite thing about working with people's messaging?
My favorite thing is the look on their face, especially the people who don't think, they just think, oh, words are words. And, and a lot of times people don't realize how our words can sabotage ourselves, or in the smallest little ways, they can kind of repel the very people we're trying to attract. So that's been interesting. But yeah, it's really what I've been hooked on is the reaction. The people who never thought, they don't expect much, and then they see what's possible, and it's like, and I love that. I kind of got hooked on that. So it's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, as a former web designer, I would put a new face on somebody's website, and then I'd say, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the copy? And people are like, can you just copy and paste it from the old? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
People don't, I don't think that people know how very much words matter.
Right. And there are, I mean, and you know this, there is a lot of industries, not a lot, but there are a few industries where websites are simply brochureware. They're just realize not many people are going to be reading it, so they don't really put too much time into it. But the problem is that whole mentality is in a lot of other industries that where it does matter. People do read stuff, and so where websites are starting to become more marketing tools, not just a brochure you hand out. So number one, a website is, it validates, right? Oh, this is a real company.
Yeah.
But then after that, what is it doing? Is it actually selling for you 24/7? And most of the time, no, it's not. So yeah. So
Right.
yeah.
People, I mean, and people sometimes I feel like they don't like to read these days. They just,
Right.
they just want to, is this right for me? Okay, I got to go.
Right. Yeah.
Um, can you tell me, I know you've had a lot of clients and a lot of experiences. Is there one that stands out in your mind as particularly, transformational, like, went from blah words on a page to something
Yeah.
that was amazing? Tell me about it.
Yeah. My favorite client was one of these that, they sat me down, they said, so do you have any, before they hired me, they're like, do you have any experience in our industry? And I said, no, but it doesn't matter because great marketing is great marketing. And they like that answer. And it's true. I mean, if you go through the right steps with the marketing, it really doesn't matter, if you have experience in it or not. Sometimes that can actually backfire, and the experience you have leads you to have certain, mistaken beliefs about your industry. So a fresh look is always good. Is always a good thing. Not that it's a bad thing to have experience, but they gave me the ball and I ran with it. And at first they were like, well, gee, I don't know if these things are going to work. I don't know if copywriting is really, we know we need to do something. And I said, I got this. Don't worry. And so within 5 months, made them a couple $1 million on top of what they were already doing. And so they were just like, what? I mean, they couldn't even believe it. So really that's, and that was early on in my career. So that got me hooked, is their reaction to, oh my word, we just made $2 million, in 5 months. I mean, that was like, oh my word. And then the next year, I added like 7 million more to that. So they were just blown away, and so I loved that because it was, it was awesome because they trusted the process. They were willing to realize that, yeah, maybe the words we use isn't what we're supposed to do. And I looked at some campaigns they did, and it really comes down to, really any company that is doing campaigns, presentations online, webinars, that kind of thing, some sales scripts, email sequences are really, I'm doing a lot of those right now. But just anything like that is so crucial, because that's really where, where you get the clients, and that's where the money comes from. And so, we gotta shore that up. So,
well, and yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I'm gonna welcome Nether News, couple $1 million. That's a big deal, my friend. Don't know if we leaned on that hard enough, but good to see Nether News. So you bring up a really good point there. That is, most people, and when you say copywriter, I think website, but.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm a person who encourages people to use video a lot,
Right?
because that, people don't want to read; they'll skip over a block of text or whatever.
Right.
But a script still needs to be written for those videos.
Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. And it's even more important because, because video captures so much, the words you use are even more important, because it's not just the black and white on the page. It's everything, but it's being shaped by the entire experience. So yeah, the words people hear and the way it's heard, so all that comes into play, but it starts again with the words, with the messaging. So Yeah.
So you do all kinds of messaging, and I'm hearing email. You said you were
Yeah.
doing a lot of email runs lately.
Hmm.
What are the other types of things that you write for people?
So I mainly try and focus on the webinars, on the webinar scripts, email sequences, the things that are closest to the sales process, which are the most vital, I think, to a business. That's number one. Number two are the campaigns, right? What campaigns are you running? Whether it's online or not online, right? It doesn't matter. But the words used in the ad, especially Google ads. I mean, the Google ads, people type in a search phrase and there's everybody, right? I mean, there's all your competitors surrounding you. So how are you standing out? What are the words you're going to use? And that's the biggest, I think, one of the big. If someone watching this is doing Google ads, they've got to just, that's one thing they could do is just take a look at what everyone else is doing, the words that they're using, and don't use them. Don't fall into that trap of being a me too kind of a link, because no one cares. No, you're just going to get skipped by, and that's not why you do Google ads. So yeah, that's crucial. So
That is crucial. I guess I never really thought about it that way. But there's such a focus on use good keywords.
right.
There's such a focus on that. Do you ever feel like, and I want to say hi to my friend Roz here. Roz is down in down under. It must be 3 a.m. where you're at, Roz. Thanks for watching us. But here's the thing. So I hear a lot of emphasis on SEO. Use the keywords that people use to find you.
Right.
How does that contrast with what you're doing? Does that work with what you're doing because really what you're doing is like finding the words to cut through the noise. So if everybody's using the same keywords,
exactly.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
So let's talk SEO, because there's a couple different components about SEO to be aware of. One is there's on-page SEO, what's called on-page and off-page, and they couldn't be more different. The on-page is how the actual words in the code on your website that is friendly to Google, right? That is on-page SEO, and that can affect your ranking. And that's really where the whole keywords come into play, how important that is, right? To be different in that sense, but be the same because you are competing. I mean, that's when keywords have to be the same bank of keywords as everybody else, because you don't want to be excluded from the group, right? That you're competing in. So, and for those clicks, but so that's important to have that in there and done correctly. But then there's the off page, and 80% of the time, off page SEO is more important, and that is just backlinking. That's really just because at the end of the day, Google is still a popularity contest, and so the more links that are out there of your website that are on other people's websites, right, the more you're going to rank higher. So that's kind of how that's why all the media companies have a lot of sway, and because they are everywhere, and so a lot of people reference them. So,
of course, yeah. Well, so that's an interesting point that the difference between on page and off page, meaning of course that the on page stuff, potentially the better bang for your buck, which when I'm saying buck, I mean marketing energy. If you're spending money or if you're doing it yourself, the more bang for your buck is to use words that really touch people's emotions and reaches them where they're at.
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting. Gosh, we're never taught that, Norm. That's not that's not something that I hear that often, and I think that we need to hear it more often. Because it's so tough because people do just see websites as online brochures these days.
They do.
And so and so cutting and there are many ways, that you have of cutting through the noise,
Right.
of writing all of the different things. I know that when we write chatbots, we're writing them in a specific way,
Right.
because
And
we
it's
are.
targeted, isn't it? It's targeted
Mhm.
for the bot, because that's kind of like you're leveraging you're using the bots in landing pages, in ads directly, correct? And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to write the bot itself differently, because that's conversational writing as
Right.
opposed to the different kind of writing for everything, right? Because you don't want to take an email and throw it into a text. You
Right.
know, you
Yeah.
you've got to write for the place that you're at, or else you end
Mhm.
up looking like you're standing on the beach in LA in July in a parka.
Right.
That's what you end up looking like.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's nice. It's nice to know a word wizard. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
know someone who understands that there's a place and a time for all kinds of writing, and
Yes,
I mean, it sounds like you do all kinds for people. Can
I
you talk
do.
more about what kind of what you do for the clients, the different types of writing, and how that translates into their success?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you beyond it's to me, it's really about beyond the words. Now, the words are important. Don't get me wrong; that is crucial. But it's the ideas behind the words. It's that underlayment of to use a roofing analogy, um, to have the
Roof.
concepts right. Right. So you have to have the ideas. For example, I've helped people that had a campaign, and I said we got to completely redo, because I could have gone in and said, okay, I'm going to write this campaign, but it wouldn't have served them very well, because it would have just been adding to the noise. That's one of the things that I think is the biggest problem with how amazingly successful the internet has become, is cutting through that noise in your market, in just the day to day, right? And you you know that, right? So cutting through the noise is probably one of the biggest challenges. So a lot of times with clients, I'll say, let's pull back, let's go just a little bit a different direction, so that they can have the biggest impact. That's always my goal. So
Yeah. Well, and that's where it's at, right? It's
yeah,
creating that impact that we all want to
right,
do, but there's
right.
so much noise on the freaking internet.
Oh, there is.
Whoo,
Oh yeah.
um,
Even to the point of sometimes people complete their branding just is not. Now, I'm not necessarily a branding expert, but I can say that from a copywriting standpoint, the tagline, just the little details about how they're positioning themselves in the market, I can tell pretty quickly that it's either working or it's not working, and I'll recommend, like, here's what we can do. Here's some big ideas that can have a big impact for you, that we can have as a foundation for your messaging. But you might want to talk to a branding expert to get all that fleshed out, because because that's crucial, and a lot of people don't know. They just figure, oh, I'm just gonna, plug away, and they don't realize what is sabotaging everything that they're doing, because they're not. It'd be a lot easier if they had their branding in place and they had the messaging right. So
and
yeah,
it's a silent sabotage.
it is. It
Um,
is. Yeah,
it's the
silent.
most
They have
frustrating
no
thing.
idea it's happening. Yeah,
Yeah, they have no idea. They have no
right.
idea that it's happening.
But
Um,
they do have the cues. They say, I'm not making as much money as I thought I would, and that's probably one of the biggest issues. But yeah, so
Well, and you have let me catch up with the content comments. Yeah, I'm great. More coffee people. Something's going on over here. I'm gonna catch up on the comments a little bit.
Yeah.
Jessica, welcome. Great to see you. And Roz says I hear pain point mentioned a lot. How to bring that into a bot.
Mhm.
We'll talk about bots a little bit later, but I do want to kind of focus on what Norm has to say. Um, South Aussie land in Adelaide is where we're getting some folks today. Some of my favorite people. Very good. Issues are opportunities, says Jessica. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
silent suffering
Right.
is definitely an opportunity to, every time you're in front of somebody, whether it's
Mhm.
text on a page, whether it's an image, whether it's a video, you have
Right.
an opportunity to connect.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
why not use the words that cut through the noise, use the words that make a
Right.
difference.
Exactly. And
Um,
like I made one time. That's one of the reasons why I don't charge by time, because by the hour, because I came into one business, made one change of their landing page, and tripled results. So, I mean, sometimes it doesn't take much. It's just they had one word that was just tripping up the whole thing. That was literally sabotaging the entire point of the landing page, right? And we removed that, and I think we just changed it to a different word, and boom, it was just, yeah, it had a huge impact. And so just stuff like that. I mean, that doesn't happen all the time, but it's powerful, that the kind of stuff, and that's just an example of how powerful the messaging can be, and is, and how it can affect us. So
Weird question.
yeah,
Have you seen Hamilton?
I started watching it, and I had to pause it for something, and I never I never went
Never
back
got
to
back.
watch it. Yeah, but I've heard so many good things about it. I keep meaning to get back to it because it looks awesome. And so
It really is, and I think it's a huge example just of what you're talking about because, so I've watched it several times. Sometimes the wife and I will turn it on and watch the first few scenes together because we love it so much.
that's cool.
And one of the things, if you haven't seen this thing, everybody, well, is musical even the right word? It is a musical, but it's all done in rap,
Right,
which
rap. Yeah.
not necessarily my forte until I've seen this thing.
Yeah.
And if they took all of the words that they used and wrote them all down, it would be like and like said them, it would be like a
Mhm.
6-hour deal.
Right. Yeah.
But they only have you for 2.5, and that's about
Right.
as much as the butt can absorb, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So they wrapped it, which was a lot faster, but the arresting power of words.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think about it in every movie that I see that brings a
Mhm.
tear to my eye. I think about it in everything on the internet that grabs my attention and holds it. This
Right.
component that we're talking about right now is huge.
Yeah.
If you have that in your marketing, then
Mhm.
that is something that is very, very powerful, as Norm
Yeah.
has demonstrated with his clients. Um, and so Norm has very generously is willing to give a little gift today. Norm, will you talk about that while I throw it in the comments for everybody?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. It's basically just it's for RJ's listeners only. But it's basically just a messaging audit. It's just a conversation, just to even see if I can help you. I mean, um, every once in a while I can't, but or for some reason there's not a fit. But I love just talking to people, and just giving them some value, even if we don't become engaged business wise. There's still some things I know I can help people with, and sometimes quite a bit. So yeah,
Beautiful. If that web page, if that landing page, if that video that you released isn't quite turning over what you thought would happen, You have nothing to lose by hitting Norm's link here and getting on a Zoom with him and just chatting about what you have, what your situation is. If you want to draw more viewers to your Twitch channel, if you need to, if you need to cut through the noise, this is the guy, and he's offering his time for you for free. So I would suggest, it's just me here, but I'm going to suggest that you hit that link, because there could be gold at the end of that rainbow. There could be a treasure trove worth of things that your writing can say if you have a little help and a nudge in the right direction. This is the day.
I can find something. I almost always can find even a little something. Even if all of your marketing is on point and everything's rock and rolling, and I find one little thing that just improves it just a slightly bit, that's at least worth a conversation. So,
yeah, excellent.
Happy to join.
Well, any final messages as we start to wrap up our little half hour here?
Just keep on keeping on, and I don't have anything wise to say, but unless it's about a specific subject.
Okay. Well, we've already been scattering pearls of wisdom during the broadcast, so no worries there. Do want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This was a super fun time, and I just I love so much that you brought a gift for my guests, or for my audience. And man, what a great time. We're gonna have you back on the show. That's how cool you were.
Oh, I'd love to. I usually am just word of mouth, and I've been very under the radar, so to speak, and just helping clients but I'm seeing the value in what you do, and everything. So I'm just happy to be a part of this, and thank you so much for inviting me. So
you bet. All right, my friend, we're gonna roll. I'm gonna start to play the music. Thank you all for coming. Throw that, toss that, hit that link. That's what I'm trying to say. Hit that link. Take a roll with your copy and see what it does for you. Thanks for joining me. Tomorrow we're on the air with Friday Wins. Join us then. And that's all for now. I'll see you in a bot.